भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we'll conclude the mantra number 6 today. So let's just chant both number 5 and 6, which pertains to pragyaha. Number 5. Yatra sukto na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam sushuptasthana eki bhutaha pragyana ghanaha eva anandamayo hi आनंदभुक्चेतो मुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयपादः। एषा सर्वेश्वरा एषा सर्वज्ञः एषः अन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवा अप्ययौ हि भूतानाम्। So the vision of the Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta means Vedanta. The other way around. Vedanta means Advaita Vedanta. There's no Dvaita Vedanta, and all those are some people's views that once they do not understand the basic message of the Vedas. That could be all kind of Vashishta Vedanta, this, that, or the other. But the Vedanta's vision is that you are complete. Whatever you ever wanted or would want in future, you already are. This is the vision of Vedanta. And it is not kind of like a concept, not something which is to be understood intellectually or anything like that. This is a fact that we have to see. We have to understand this. And you can call it Ishvara, you can call it Jiva, but this is Brahman. There's only one thing, which is Purna, and that is you. This is the vision of Vedanta. And we should see that this is the goal of each one of us, and something that we have to we have the fortune of really being introduced to, and something that we have to see in while we are alive and we are well. That's a big part of it, because as life progresses, you become more beset with issues, physical issues, and it gets more difficult to really put your attention into it. So the sooner the better. This is the message. So here, just to continue on with the We'll conclude verse number 6 and start the Karika next time. So, in the conclusion of mantra number 6, for those of you that are following Swami Akhandananda's books in Hindi, this is approximately page number 216. So Swamiji says that many religions or schools of thought consider Ishvara to be the intelligent cause of the cosmos. As we have talked about that before, but I'm just concluding it, revising it. So there is no vivada, no differences of opinion, because the very definition of God, Ishvara, in whatever religion you take, has to say one who is independent, totally intelligent, and the boss of the whole creation. Ishwaratvam means the total one with who's not under anything else. Totally independent. This is the prevailing view of all religions and all schools of thought. No doubt about it. But now here's where the issue comes in. Because we see a creation in front of us. All of us do. The very fact that you and I are born means that there is some diversity, there's some changes, there's some experiences, there's some thoughts. This is what the Jagat means. We know that. So the question is, if Ishvara is the intelligent cause, then like any other so-called creator, later on we will see the message of Gaudapadacharya is that this, what appears to be a creation is actually a non-creation. But that comes later. For now, let's say that we have the experience of a creation. Now the question is to analyze, how is this done? So there's two ways to do that. One is, if you are a intelligent cause, then you need some material to create. So the material cause, where is the material cause? So this fact is either glossed over by most religions, unanswered by some, and others simply say that Ishvara will figure that out somehow. If he is Sarvagyaha, Sarvashaktiman, Sarveshwara, this is all the prevailing view of the other religions, then we don't have to worry about the material and so on and so forth. He or she, whoever the God is, they'll figure it out because they have the ability to do all of that. This is what their answer is. And I can tell you that this is what Swami Dayanand-ji, who when he was confronted, not confronted, but he was faced with some discussions with non-Hindus and so on, he used to summarize the view of these other religions in this way. I remember this so well. He said that there was one Christian priest that he was having discussion with. When Swami Dayanand-ji raised this question about the material, his answer was, we don't have to worry about that. Why are you worried about where the material and so on? Let God figure it out. You remember that? I recall that so well. So that's the thing. So now we say this is not a complete, clear, or satisfactory answer. What is not a satisfactory answer? That let God figure it out. Why are you and I worried about? Because the reason that we are worried about it is ultimately I am really concerned about myself. Even God is secondary to me. Yes, I need to understand what's happening and so on, but it is only because I want to feel complete and fulfilled. So that saying let God figure it out and so on does not help in my self satisfaction as to who am I. For that reason, we cannot just simply say material cause does not have to be discussed. It has to be done very clearly. Then, having raised all these points, the Shastra says, listen, you are right because you are, not you are right means, it says, listen, there are two ways of looking at a designer, a karta, of a shrishti karta. One is just like you and I do in our vyavaharika satta, in our transactional reality, where the intelligent cause and the material cause are different from each other. This is okay. But if you want to be complete as you wish to be, this is what we are embarking on, then you need to understand that you're someone who is not just a vyavaharika sat, not just a transactional truth. So the best way to understand a transactional truth is an appliance. An appliance. Because the appliance has the characteristics of being manufactured itself from some other things and then to behave in a way that it becomes useful to others. And so a light bulb, for example, is a creation by itself, but it also creates light around it. So there is a dual use of it, both a karta as well as a karya. Karana as well as a karya. That is okay for vyavaharika sat. But in the Paramarthika Sat, which is essential for a sense of completeness, because one can say, why do I need Paramarthika Sat? I can just, and that's exactly what we do. We only are transacting in a relative reality. And within the relative reality, we do the best we can. Some do better than others, but this is the struggle. Somehow I want to be as independent as possible. So as independent as possible means that there are certain possibilities, but it's not a complete thing. So we want a complete thing. Then you have to resort to an understanding of Paramarthika Sat. And so the Paramarthika Sat means that there you cannot have a difference between the intelligent cause and the material cause. Why can't we have a difference between them? Because that is duality. And as long as there is duality, there is no completeness. So this is the basic vision of Advaita Vedanta that we must understand very clearly. That my goal, essentially speaking, if just the just the essence of all this whole. My goal is to be Advaya, without a second. And right now I don't see that because my entire life is full of Dvaita only. Because I am fighting the world and I am a small person and I'm struggling and I don't know how to let alone being successful, let alone being completely Advaya. I cannot even be successful as a Dvaya, as a as a Dvaita. So it's a very far-fetched vision, but one that is true. And we must understand the truth through the listening and through study and so on and so forth, because the Shastra doesn't say something which is not true. It is for our own good. And I have, if you say, no, I don't know if this is the final message and so on and so forth, let me try some other things, please do so. Please do so. But having exhausted everything else, ayanayana vidyate, there is nothing else that you have to do. You have to come back to the basic fact that I am Advaita alone. So one other thing, in the related to that, not going away from this topic, but one other aspect of that, going back to the various schools of thought that we started with, another aspect of the various schools of thought is that Ishvara is a tatastha karanam, tatastha chaitanya. The Chaitanya means awareful, knowledgeable, intelligent. So that is Chaitanya, that is Chaitana Vastu, means it is awareful. So we all agree that Ishvara must be awareful. But as a Tatastha Chaitanya, Tatastha means Tate Sthiti Yasya in Sanskritam. Tate Sthiti Yasya, one whose place of, one who's situated on the banks of something. So Tatastha means that you are sitting on the bank of a river or an ocean, which is flowing in front of you, but you are not affected by it. You're just watching the tamasha. So many of the religions feel that Ishvara is a tatastha chaitanya. It sees a lot of stuff going around and it's not bothered by it, it is independent of it. Is Ishvara like that? And so the Vedantic view is no, it is not. It is not. So, in Vedanta it says Ishvara is, and so the meaning of the same karana, both nimitta karana and upadana karanam, abhinna nimitta upadana karanam means that Ishvara is not just a tatastha karanam. That what is happening in the world is also the body of Ishvara. If that is the case, then The other views will say, now you're creating a huge problem. Because I thought the Ishvara was above all pleasures and pain, sukha dukkha, not affected by the problems of everything. And that is easily proven through the Tadastha Chaitanya. But if you are the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karanam, that means that Ishvara is also full of problems that are happening in the world. He cannot absolve himself from it if in fact that is the material of Ishvara. How do you explain that? This is what we want to know. So, this is where the teaching of the Vedanta, of the Shastra, answers all these through the teaching. That no, it is a very funny situation that really speaking, you are not separate from it, but you are not affected by it. And how can you reconcile these two contrary statements? Because there is a level of reality that has to be understood. The level of reality has to be grasped. And so, as this is the fundamental part of Advaita Vedanta that we must understand, that right now, before we understand this fact about independence as well as involvement, there's only two levels of reality. Either something is there or something is not there. And if there is something there, then it is real. And if something is not there, then it is not real. This is the way our thinking is initially. Vedanta says, no, there is something more than that. And that means that just because something is there doesn't mean it is real. This is a very fundamental part that we must be very clear about this. Just because something is there. So this is what is called the anirvachaniya. It is sat asat vilakshanaha anirvachaniya. Sat asat vilakshanaha anirvachaniya. Meaning that what is an appearance can be seen to be neither sat. How can you say it is neither sat? Because the very definition of sat is different from sat. Why? Because what is the definition of sat? Sat means that something that never gives up it's the way it is. Never gives it up. It's always the same. Under no circumstances. There is no time, no place, no vastu, nothing. It is sat. And anything that you see is different from sat. Why? Because it changes. It's very clear it is changing. So it cannot be sat. And it is also different from asat. Asat difference means it is there. I can see it. It's not saying that it is absent. This has to be grasped as a fundamental aspect of reconciling how come Ishvara, and for that matter, you and I, can be both. Both in the sense that we are, in a way, participant in the changing world and yet independent from it. This is the fundamental aspect of it. And so what that means is you are the Sat. Your nature is Sat. Satyam. Desha Kala Vastu Anavachinnam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. You are the very Sat. And you are not only the Sat, you are also awareful. You see, this is interesting. Sat and Chit must be the same. Why? Because if Sat is not Chit, then it is inert. It becomes like an inert vastu, like a table. And if Chit is not Sat, then it becomes flickering, coming and going, because it is not Sat. So Sadeva Chit, Chideva Sat, and always there, Anantam. One interesting aspect to this, just to explore this fact a little bit more, in Swami Akhandananda pointed this out so very beautifully. He says that there are actually three words that must be understood. The meaning behind them, not the words themselves, but the meaning behind the words must be understood. Okay? So one is called Anityam. One is called Nityam. And the third one is called Brahman. Anityam, Nityam, and Brahman. Okay, so what are the three words? If you look at time, let's just look at one thing at a time. In fact, that's all we will do. We won't go through Desha, Vastu, but let's look at Kala, time. If we look at time, then you find that time is anityam. Very obvious, because as the time passes, it's no longer 8:30 when we started the class. It is now 8:58. So it is different. It's moving. So the time is anityam. And another thing, very interestingly enough, since I picked that up, I'll just complete that part and then we'll go back to our discussion on the mantra number 6. This anityam is pratyaksha siddham. Okay? Anityata of kala is pratyaksha siddhata. What does that mean? It means that I can directly see it. Pratyaksha means it's right in front of me. Pratyaksha actually means from the eyes, but it means all the sense organs. In other words, however I feel, either by touching or by seeing or hearing or something, but it's right in front of me. I can understand that. It's called Pratyaksha Siddham. Siddha means that it is proven. The pramana here is my sense organs, and time is a function of my, as a karya of my sense organs. So that is Pratyaksha Siddham. So now we have covered Anityam. Okay. Let's move on to Nityam. A very beautiful analysis, really. I had not seen this before. Nitya means what? By the way, when I say I have not seen it before, I have not seen it being described in this way. But the same principles were talked about by Swami Dayanand Ji also. So I'm not saying this is something that either he didn't know or I didn't know or anything. But it was a refreshing course about having some words to describe the very concept. That's all. Let's talk about Nityam. So what is Nityam? Nityam means that time, the concept of time is unquestioned. What does that mean, unquestioned? What it means is that even though I am seeing the changes of time right in front of me, which is anityam, but this is going to go on and on. So therefore, I make a mental conclusion. So this is a very important thing to see, okay? The difference between anityam and nityam. Anityam we've already seen, pratyaksha siddham. Nityata of time. Nityata of time is also something that, yes, absolutely, I understand that the time is going to go on. How can you say that? Because I don't ever see time stopping. After that, there is no more time. I don't see that. Or neither do I see a possibility that at one time there was no time. I don't see that. So that means that time is always there. And the time that is always there is called Nityam. Okay? Now comes an important thing. The non-changingness of the very concept of time. So this is what is called Nityata. Non-changingness is called in Sanskritam Nityata. The very nature of not changing is called Nityata. Swami Akhandananda says this Nityata, is this Pratyaksha Siddham or not? He raises this question. Clearly, Anityata is Pratyaksha Siddham. It is directly in front of me. I can prove it. But Nityata of time is not Pratyaksha Siddham. Because you don't see the end of time. How can you say that? And yet, that is what I hold on to. Why? How? This is called Anumana Siddham. Beautiful distinction. Anityata is Pratyaksha Siddham. Nityata is Anumana Siddham. Anumana Siddham means that it is proven by my thinking that it must be like that. I cannot say that it is ever going to end, because we don't see any pratyaksha of its ending. We don't see any proof of its ending. It is always going on. So therefore it must be true. So this is what is called inferential conclusion. Anityata is experiential conclusion. Nityata is inferential conclusion. That means it's going to go on and on and on. Now comes Brahman. So we have explained two of the three. If we do not understand Brahman, then we have not really understood the truth of what this life is. Why not? Because a partial understanding is not complete, it does not lead to a complete freedom. And the understanding of anityata and nityata is partial understanding. How can we say that? Because look at the implications of simply stopping at those two and not going to the third. Look at the implications. Very damaging implications. Damaging in the sense that if I simply accept the basic facts of anityata and nityata, I still stay within samsara. Isn't it? Because even if it is inferential or if it is experiential, if I stay within those two, I am still a jiva. I'm still a vyashti. I'm still a particular person. Isn't it? It's all consistent with my view of my time and where I am, and the fact of the matter is that the time is going to continue. That means I'll be there somewhere or the other, one form or the other. I don't even know whether I will be there or not. That's another thing. So all the doubts about my future, and as well as doubts about perhaps even if I accept reincarnation, but I'm still always going to be within the time and so on and so forth. Isn't it? So it is a very damaging conclusion if I simply do nityam and anityam only. And this is exactly what I do. These are all nice words to explain everything, but this is the problem that I have, is that I am still within samsara, within the coordinates of time and space. Then comes Brahman. And Brahman means not anityam, neither anityam nor nityam, but Sat Swarupam. Sat Swarupam. This Sat Swarupata is something different from Nityam. How is it different from Nityam? It is different from Nityam because it is not Anumana Siddham. Brahman, the Atma, I, is not Anumana Siddham. It is not inferred. Are you an inference? This is a very, very important thing to see clearly. There is only one thing which does not require any proof, no thinking, no inference, no experience, which is you, the Sat Swarupam. See this. Perhaps what we should do at this time is do a short meditation just on this point. It just occurred to me. Because these things are not just conceptual, theoretical, this is what it is, and try to understand this, and so on and so forth. It is the truth about me. This truth has to be grasped and seen. Perhaps it is best done under a meditation. So let's do a nididhyasana. Okay? I think we have enough time. We may not be able to complete the mantra number 6, but that's okay. Turned off these lights that are shining in my eyes. Namaste astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantikaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. If we examine all the constituents of my life, we find that everything that I experience is based on a proof. In Sanskritam, it is called Pramana Siddham. In my entire life's experiences, anything that I see, observe, or experience, in Sanskritam called Prameyam, what is known, what is knowable, what is experienced, what is experienceable, is Prameya. All Prameya is Pramana Siddham. It is subject to being proved. That I am sitting here is proven by where I am, when I am, and what situation I'm in. If there is sunlight outside, it is proven by the light I see. Nothing is beyond proof. The entire Prameya Jagat, the entire world that I experience is Pramana Siddham. It is established by the appropriate means of knowing. That my body has some problems is Pramana Siddham. Everything is Pramana Siddham. But there is an exception to this. Which is you the Atma, you, the Brahman. It is the only Vastu in the entire creation which is not Pramana Siddham. It may be Prameyam, it may need to be understood, to be seen, but it is not Pramana Siddham. You don't require any proof that you are is self-evident. Sakshat, Aparokshat, Swayam Siddham, Swayam Prakasha, Satswarupam, Chitswarupam, Natu Pramana Siddham. You do not require a proof. You are not Anumana Siddham. You are not inferentially established. You are already there. Therefore, inference about time can be made. Experiential or inferential conclusions precede nothing. Atma precedes everything. You don't need a proof. So Brahman is neither anityam nor nityam, but Satswarupam. Atma, the Self, the Brahman, doesn't need a proof. It is self-established. Time depends on it. Yesterday, this morning, later on today, these are all thoughts. That I am a human being sitting here is a thought. Preceding all these thoughts is Atma, the Brahman. I was there before I had the thoughts. The thoughts about time, about space, about where I am, how I am, all depend upon the self which is independent of the specific thoughts. These thoughts are like the waves in the water. I am the very substance in which these waves appear, but I am none of those. The thoughts do not define me. I define the thoughts. I am Sat Swarupam. See this fact again and again. Time is contained within me. Even the inference that time is continuous, that thought is also made possible by the Atma, which is independent of this concept. I am not a concept. I am not a thought. I am not an experience. I am not an inference. I am the very content of all of these. Independent, self-existing, self-aware. This is Brahman, separate from Anityam and Nityam. Sakshat, Aparokshat, Atma. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this is the essence of Advaita Vedanta. The Advaita Vedanta says that Advaita means non-difference, means that Atma and all the thoughts that you see are not different from each other. They're one and the same. And the reason we can say that is because Atma is Sat Swarupa, always the same, always there, Swayam Siddha. And Anatma is at a different level of reality than Sat. It is your copy. So just like if you are standing in front of a mirror and you see your copy, your image in the mirror, that may look like you, but that there is a difference in the level of reality. So similarly, the Atma, it's Sat Swarupa, and the other, all the Anatma, is really just you, but your thoughts. And because of the confusion between what is you, what are you, and what is the Anatma, which appears to be different from you, because of this confusion, you take yourself to be a limited person. Just like in a dream. So therefore, really speaking, what we need to do is to clearly understand that the Atma, keep this in mind and we will develop this in more detail, but this is one of the fundamental parts of this, that the adhisthana of anatma is atma, and the prakashaka of anatma is swayam prakashaka. I am the very basis of all the anatma. This I don't know. Because the moment you say I'm the basis, I say, how can that be? Because you take yourself to be a jiva. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the atma. So that atma has to be seen. It has to be understood. It has to be pointed out and grasped. Is the very adhisthana of the anatma. And then my awareness, my light, is also the one that is lighting up the anatma. So sometimes, for example, you say you can ask any student, some youngster or something, and say, okay, please make sure that you describe something completely. Okay? So you say, okay, you know what? Describe what this is completely. Completely. Don't leave anything out. So I'll say, okay, all right, this is a book. Okay? And it is yellow in color. All right? And it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And it has, you can say, how many pages and so on and so forth. Anything else? Well, it may weigh, about 10 ounces. I don't know what, something like that. It's 10 ounces. Okay, so you've covered the weight. You've covered the shape. You've covered the color. Anything else? No. I think this is all I can think of. And some of the students can say, "Did I pass? Did I? What do you think?" And say, "No. You left a very important ingredient." Really? Which one is that? The light that shines on it. That it is lighted is also a characteristic of this book. Oh, I mean, that's a given. I know, but I asked for a complete inventory. And it is incomplete without the light. Really speaking, very interestingly enough, we are only looking at things that are lighted. But we are oblivious of the fact, how is it being lighted? Who is the light? Chit Swarupam Atma. I'm lighting everything. And what is lighted is a lower level of reality than the light itself. So this is what we need to understand through the advice of the Shastra. Because I'm looking for a complete inventory of who I am. And the problem is that I don't have a complete inventory because I'm missing some very important ingredients. Anyway, so this is kind of like the essence of these for six mantras. And with that, I think we will conclude mantra number 6 today. And then we will take up Gaudapadacharya ji's Karika number 1 next time. And that will also go on for a while, because what the Karika does and what the 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 explainer of the Karika, Swami Akhandananda ji, does is to now look at these 6 mantras and to analyze it. It is not just repeating it. It's not a repetition. But now we will begin, now that data has been presented in front of us, that data will be analyzed so that we can begin to form an insight which is truthful. So that is the job of the Karika, and that we will begin in the next class. Okay, so with that, let me say a prayer to conclude today's class. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Acharyaji's Karika number. So nice to see you all. Wonderful that you could participate. Question for you, Harsh. Will you be able to join our retreat at the ashram? I actually meant to write to you, but since you're here, I'll just ask you. You can just let me know. Happy you're watching all this, because there's lots more to come on this explanation of the identity between Jiva and Ishvara. Very beautifully explained in the Karika. So look forward to exploring this. And it's not just something that, I enjoy that for myself, because the more clarity you have, the better nishtha, the better, Brahmanishta. This is what is called Shrotriya Brahmanishta. Anishta means that you never really are away from the clear understanding of who you are. And that's a process. It's not something that happens overnight, and I'm still doing that. Shrotriyatram, yes, you Shravanam, you have an idea of how to do it, what is to be done, all of that is there. That one is pretty much done. But in terms of the Brahmanishta, it requires clarity, understanding of removing all the doubts. And that's a process also called Mananam and Nididhyasana that keeps on going. So these classes are helpful to me also, not just teaching it to you. So very happy that we have these. Okay, all right. Hari Om. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.